No, Sarah's on there.
Here.
She was here a minute
She's
ago.
here. I just can't see her on my screen.
How come we can't
Only
get her on our
shows 6 at
screen?
a time.
There she is.
Yeah, but when she goes, you go what? When she comes,
You go away, William.
and now, what's her name?
Wait,
Rachel's
Quite
coming.
frankly, she's much better
Please
looking
order.
than you, so.
Stop. Oh, hi, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order the April 23rd, 2020 Sierra Vista City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Rick Mueller,
Present.
Mayor Pro-Tem Rachel Gray,
Present.
Councilmember William Benning,
Present.
Councilmember Gwen Calhoun,
Present.
Councilmember Sarah Pacheco,
Present.
Councilmember Carolyn Humphrey,
Present.
Councilmember Christine Wolf.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. We'll start tonight with our invocation and pledge of allegiance. We'll start with the invocation led by Mr. Benning, followed immediately by the pledge of allegiance by Mrs. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm gonna just ask everyone to take a moment of silence real quick. And I'll pass it to Ms. Humphries now.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
United
States of America.
the Republic
And
one nation,
God.
visible,
liberty and justice for all.
We get through that, everybody? Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Benning and Mrs. Humphrey. Item number 1 is acceptance of the agenda. Mrs. Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the agenda for the regular city council meeting of April 23rd, 2020 be approved as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any questions, additions, deletions, corrections?
No.
Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We next go on to awards and presentations. And I have 2 proclamations tonight. The first is our annual April Fair Housing Month proclamation. And it's an honor and privilege as mayor of the Sierra Vista to offer the following proclamation on behalf of the good citizens of Sierra Vista. Whereas in 1968 and 1988, Federal Fair Housing Acts declare that it is national policy to ensure equal opportunities in housing, and whereas these acts prohibit discrimination in the sale, rental, leasing, and financing of housing or land on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status. And whereas April 2020 marks the 52nd annual celebration of Fair Housing Month, now therefore be it resolved that I, Frederick W. Mueller, Mayor of the City of Sierra Vista, Arizona, do hereby proclaim April 2020 to be Fair Housing Month for the City of Sierra Vista. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Sierra Vista to be affixed. This is the 23rd date of April, the year of our Lord, 2020, and independence of the United States of America, 243rd. Signed, Frederick W. Mueller, Mayor. And we'll make sure that the proper people receive this. The next proclamation is declaring April as a second chance month. And again, it's my honor and privilege as mayor to offer the following proclamations on behalf of the good citizens of Sierra Vista. Whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed for the 4th consecutive year that April is Second Chance Month, and whereas Second Chance Month is a time when we draw particular attention to the challenges and stigma that face citizens returning to our community from prison or jail, and the steps we can take in both the private and public sector to ensure that these returning citizens have the opportunity to become contributing members of society. And whereas for the millions of Americans, to include citizens of the City of Sierra Vista who have criminal background records, keys to successful reentry are securing employment and housing. And whereas Second Chance Month will be a time for developing awareness and support of opportunities for those who have worked to overcome bad decisions earlier in life, and to emphasize our belief in second chances for all who are willing to work hard and turn their lives around. And whereas, as a city, we are stronger economically and socially when our citizens who have returned from incarceration have access to affordable housing and stable jobs that allow them to provide for both themselves and their families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Frederick W. Mueller, Mayor of the City of Sierra Vista, Arizona, do hereby proclaim April 2020 as City of Sierra Vista Second Chance Month in and for the City of Sierra Vista. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the great seal of the City of Sierra Vista to be affixed. This is the first day of April, the year of our Lord 2020, and the independence of the United States of America, 243rd, signed Frederick Mueller, Mayor. And again, we'll get that to the proper folks. So,
Mr. Mayor,
ma'am.
it's Gwen. It occurred to me as you were reading those that, the weekly little newsletter we send out on Facebook and
Yes,
the other
ma'am.
ways, it would be nice to add those special proclamations to that newsletter so the folks in Sierra Vista will see that the city is supporting these various important events. It would just be a nice way to do that if it's not in the paper.
That's a good idea. If there's no objection by the council, I'll go ahead and have the city manager ensure that we get some publicity on both these items.
I have no objection.
Okay, so by consensus then, thank you very much, Gwen.
Thank you.
We now go to the city manager's report, Mr. Matucci.
Okay, everybody hear me?
Yes.
Your volume's turned up, Chuck. Good.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Mayor Mueller, members of the council. Our next regularly scheduled work session will be at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, May the 12th. And we're hoping to have that live here at the City Hall Council Chambers. So we'll, of course, keep everybody updated as to whether we can do that or not, but that's our hope right now. And then the same would be for the May 14th regular council meeting at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. A few items to report upon tonight. First, we did talk a bit at our work session about revenues, and we were mentioning the sales tax in particular, and we did receive February sales tax report, which was up a robust 5.39% year over year in February, which was our second highest month for sales tax revenues. Of course, we expect that to start declining with March figures and then April's, but those will lag, and we will receive the March figures in May and then the April figures in June, and we'll make adjustments accordingly to the budget as we get that information. This morning, the Joint Powers Authority CCOM board met, and I attended that meeting primarily to go over the CCOM budget. We still have some budget issues to resolve at the board, so there will be a work session on May 6th to discuss those issues, and I still hope to be able to present to you that budget then at that May 12th work session. As you're aware, the governor started providing guidance on the relaxation of COVID-19 executive orders, starting with opening the healthcare system to elective procedures May 1st. We've received no other guidance other than that right now. Of course, as the governor provides that guidance, we can look forward to, I think, what will be a series of press conferences by the governor where we hope to get further guidance on opening things up, at which case the city will move swiftly to implement those orders as they come up. Finally, today, at last count, we still have 31 cases in Cochise County, but 9 of those are considered to be out of isolation, meaning the active cases sit at 22. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Before I open it up for the council to ask questions, Chuck, did you want to mention the fact that the good folks at Treasury have finally put out their guidance on the Corona funds that are available for cities? under half a million?
Sure, I can do that, Mr. Mayor. As you're aware, under the CARES Act, $2.8 million was allocated to the state of Arizona for COVID-related costs. Of course, a large amount of that is slated to be taken by the state, and then, of course, the cities and counties over 500,000 population, of which there are only 5 entities in the state, can apply for those funds directly. So we've been waiting for guidance in terms of how smaller entities can apply for these funds and what we can use them for. So we did receive some guidance from the Treasury Department today. And of course, any of those costs must be related to COVID activities. So we're still waiting for the state guidance in terms of how we can apply for those funds. We have been keeping track of the costs we've incurred as a result of this, and we'll make application as soon as we know how to do that. Of course, there's a lot of discussion on the part of various entities around the state regarding revenue replacement funds. Those are not included in the CARES Act, and there's a lot of discussion right now in the Congress with regards to whether those funds will be available made available in the next package. So we're keeping an eye on all these things, and we'll certainly let you know as we hear any news.
Thank you, Mr. Petucci. I think that was critical for the council to know. Anybody on the council have questions on this item? I see Gwen's got her hand up, and then we'll do Ms. Humphrey. Ms. Humphrey after that.
Mr. Mayor, Chuck, do those funds, will they be able to help out with our, the fact that our bus service, that we're losing a lot of riders on the bus, can that be used for our transportation?
Mayor Mueller, Councilmember Calhoun, actually, the Federal Transit Administration is receiving funds through their agency, which will help address issues with regards to transit funding, I think both this year and next year. So we won't have to use CARES Act money, I believe, for that.
Different pot of money, Gwen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Humphrey.
Before the May 12th meeting, did we confirm that we're having a special meeting on May 5th? Is that happening?
Joe, would you know anything about the meeting? Because that's another question I wanted to announce. The next meeting should be the meeting for our decision on the other COVID related expenditures. Is that been set?
Mayor Mueller, members of council, I'm waiting for RSVPs from the rest of council on their availability. So if you could let me know, but yes, we are putting it on the calendar for May 5th at 3 p.m.
Okay, so we're trying to get at 3 p.m. Please respond. If you haven't got a query from the city clerk, please get a hold of the city clerk so you know what we're talking about here.
Mr. Mayor, I do also have a question for Chuck. And this is, I guess, more of a clarification that I would like him to put out. This is based on, hopefully, and trust me, nobody more than me wants us to meet in person on May 12th. But this is all based on any kind of direction from the governor, correct? This is not something that we have actually decided as a city that no matter what, come hell or high water, we're going to do it, right?
I'll answer that question. It's tentative. We're hoping that we'll be able to assemble. The other option we have is, the problem we have is the presentation does not lend itself, one of the presentations does not lend itself to this format. And if you come in and read the presentation, you understand it early and you don't want to attend, and that will allow us to keep social distancing, all the better. Again,
I understand, Mr. Mayor. I'm just trying to make sure that the community doesn't understand that.
yeah, it's pending the governor's action, and I'm assuming that he's being cautious and he's going to kind of dribble out each little change, which is the prudent thing to do.
I think he will too.
But that's my assumption.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Petucci? Thank you all. Thank you, council, and thank you, Mr. Patuchik. We next go to a public hearing item, item number 2. And who's got item number 2? Is that?
Ms. Wolf.
I believe I have item number 3.
Because all I have is Mr. McLaughlin's name. I don't have the, Ms. Wolf, would you go ahead and do that then, please?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. It's not just a hearing. This is a public hearing that we're going to have the vote tonight on. So, I'll make the motion that we approve the draft for the 2020 Community Development Block Grant CDG Program Annual Action Plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. McLaughlin, would you give us a staff report, please?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think this is the second or third time you've heard this presentation, but for the record, the city is seeking comment on our draft annual action plan for the 2020 program year. Based on the initial guidance received at your March 12th city council meeting, the proposed annual action plan allocates the entire $271,810 that we're slated to receive towards implementing the final phase of the Eddie Sear Park Master Plan. No applications were received this year from public service providers. We are in the second year of the 5-year consolidated plan period, carrying out infrastructure and public facility projects in the low to moderate income target areas was rated as a top priority in the plan, and where 2/3 of the program funds would be allocated. In terms of process, we'll be making the draft annual action plan available for public comment through May 11th. We will bring the plan back to you with any input we receive for final consideration at your regular meeting on May 14th. The final plan, which is essentially our application to HUD, will be uploaded to the federal IDIS system. And then from there, HUD will have 60 days to review and approve. So what we're asking this evening is for you to release the draft annual action plan for public comment. Again, that comment period runs through May 11th. And then the final approval with any edits resulting from those comments will occur at your meeting on May 14th.
Matt, I'm going to start because you got me confused. Didn't we already put this out for public comment once?
We have not.
We have not.
No, we continued it at your prior meeting. Today is the public hearing, and we are putting the draft out for public comment.
One of our prior meetings was we actually did put the draft out. That did not happen.
Well, the draft has been available, but the official public comment period will transpire.
So we didn't start the official comment period. That's where I'm confused. Okay, I'm with you now. So this is a public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public that wish to address us on this item? Ma'am. So I'll close the public hearing. Council members, comments, questions, discussion?
Nothing for me.
Sir.
Nothing
I'm
for
not
me.
hearing anything. So this will come up when, Matt, for the vote?
Final vote authorizing us to submit the plan to HUD will occur at your next regular meeting on May 14th.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Matt. Good job.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next time I'll start paying attention, I guess. Item number 3, Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that resolution 2020-016, a location owner transfer Series 6 liquor license for Nicholas Dominic Politi on behalf of Southwest Hospitality Services Group, 161A East Wilcox Drive, Sierra Vista, Arizona, be approved.
Second.
Councilwoman, it's been moved and seconded. Ms. Adams.
Mayor Mueller, members of council, as moved, this is a application for a location owner transfer of a Series 6, which is a full bar liquor license submitted by Mr. Nicholas Politi. Mr. Politi is in attendance virtually tonight if you do have questions for him. The notice of this public hearing was posted on the facility in excess of the required 20 days, and no comments from the public have been received, either pro or con. the police department performed their background check and has no objection to this application moving forward. If approved tonight, it will be returned to the State Liquor Board for final action.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Council, any questions for Mrs. Adams? Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. Oh, did you have something there, William? Oh, I saw you raise your hand there. I thought, okay. I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. Politi. We now move on to new business. Item number 4, Ms. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the City Council regular meeting minutes of April 9th, 2020 be approved as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, or corrections?
Nothing.
Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to item number 5, Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that resolution 2020-017 restating the city's commitment to fair housing in Sierra Vista be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, comments? Oh, excuse me. Mr. McLaughlin, may I have the staff report, please? Don't want to leave you out. Mr. McLaughlin? Hang on, we got a technical.
Mr. Mayor,
we
can
go.
you hear me now? Okay, great.
Hear you now.
This resolution reaffirms the city's commitment to the principle of fair housing, which is memorialized each year by the city proclaiming April to be Fair Housing Month in Sierra Vista. This is a federal requirement intended to illuminate the community on their rights and responsibilities under the Civil Rights Act of 1968, commonly known as the Federal Fair Housing Act. As the mayor reiterated during the reading of the proclamation, this act prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, and familial status and disability. Victims of housing discrimination can seek recourse through the Southwest Fair Housing Council. Their website includes a landlord and tenant resource center and commonly asked landlord-tenant questions and information regarding fair housing rights. We also have fair housing brochures available at city facilities. Thank you for declaring April to be Fair Housing Month. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. McLaughlin?
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Ma'am.
Mr. McLaughlin, are you hearing or having to make any referrals related to fair housing in Sierra Vista?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Calhoun, they are few and far between, thankfully. I overhear maybe one every 6 months of our admin staff referring people to the Southwest Fair Housing. It's not a prevalent problem here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mrs. Calhoun. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to comments and requests of council. And tonight we'll start with Mr. Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you to everyone in Sierra Vista, the community. For staying vigilant, doing what we're supposed to do. The light is at the end of the tunnel. We just got to get there, stay strong. And the rest of the council, yourself, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And of course, always to the staff. Be safe. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Benning. Mrs. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to wish my mom a happy birthday. I know we're not celebrating the way we normally would, but we'll make up for it when this whole pandemic is behind us.
Tell your mom a happy birthday for all of us, please.
Thank you. I will.
Okay, we'll now go to Mrs. Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to share that this week is National Volunteer Appreciation Week, and our city has a lot of devoted volunteers who do a ton of work keeping our city going. And so thank you to the volunteers at the city and also throughout our city. I think we've seen a big outpouring of service and giving during this tough time. We've seen just our whole community step up and come together and work hard to make sure that everyone's taken care of. And so having this week be National Volunteer Appreciation Week, it's a timely reminder of the work that they do, that all the volunteers of our community do. And I'm going to share, like, I love sharing quotes, so sorry, bear with me. Bear with me. My favorite volunteer quotes is, volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in elections just once a year, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about the kind of community you want to live in.
Ooh, that's nice.
Very good.
Volunteers.
Great thought, Sarah. Thank you. Next is Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just kind of want to send a message out to our small businesses and everything that's going on. I know that we are really hurting right now. We're all hurting right now. But like Councilmember Benning said, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I think it is coming. We can absolutely do it. There are resources out there. If you need any help, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center over in Cochise County. Feel free to reach out to the Sierra Vista Chamber. They have been doing some really awesome things. And if you don't feel comfortable with any of that, shoot me an email. I do own a small business myself, and I will make sure to get back to you. And together, we're going to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you reminding me on the call with Senator Sinema today. They did say the additional PPP money was passed. So if you filed your application, get with your bank. Hopefully that'll get through. And if you haven't received the money, and if you still need to, get that filled out as soon as you can and get it in. And she also said there was a certain amount of money that was held for smaller banking institutions, so that the Wall Street giants wouldn't get first cut, like basically is what's happened in the first round. So thank you, Ms. Wolf. Appreciate that. Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Carolyn for reminding me about the school board meeting Tuesday night. And I don't know if it was we didn't get a paper today, but the new superintendent has been chosen. And I think we'll look forward to meeting him, welcoming him to the community, and working with him.
And that's good. That'll be announced at the meeting on, you said Tuesday. When did you say the meeting was?
It was announced at last Tuesday's meeting.
Last Tuesday's meeting.
This past Tuesdays. Carolyn, you want to add anything to that?
Who's the obviously I missed that, but who is the?
Rick Holmes.
Say again?
Rick.
Eric?
R-I-C Holmes, yeah.
Holmes or Holmes?
Oh, H.
Holmes.
Okay.
Out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was just, Tuesday night, right after our meeting. We were probably all meeting out, but I know Gwen had an interest in it, so I just sent her the link because they had.
Thanks, Gwen, for bringing that, and I appreciate you guys educating me on this. Next, we would go to Madam Mayor Pro-Tem Gray.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
I do have a couple of things. First, I want to remind the community that census is still going on, so if you haven't filled out your form, please get it in. I know everybody had a good Earth Day. I didn't get to dig up the non-native mesquite in my yard that I planned on doing to celebrate, but we'll work on that coming up. We've already talked about the governor's office and the fact that it looks like he's going to gradually start opening things up, and we don't have a specific time schedule. And Sarah, I agree with you. The volunteers is something that keeps this community together, whether it's in a time of crisis like we have now, or whether it's every day. And I would encourage everybody to look for a way to help their neighbors and watch out for one another, especially in current times. With that, if nobody else has anything else, seeing nothing, I will close the meeting. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Y'all have a blessed night.
Have a good night.